Get you tight, ladies. Come on. Sit up over here, right over here. Eyes on me, eyes on me.
Forget the shoes right now.
Red Mountains in the house. I love it. I love it. Hey, I got to tell you guys, we're super excited about bringing this to your school. You guys have been to our event twice previous years, right? And I remember talking to Coach Kyle Enders and Jason a year ago about doing this at your school. And so we're so excited about bringing the Honor Bowl to your school. The Honor Bowl is a big thing. It's known as the best high school football showcase in America. And the reason why we have you guys come together like this is so we can tell you why you're in this event, so you can hear the spirit and the heart of this event, and why we say it's more than just a football game. Because it is more than just a football game. There's a reason why you are playing in this event. And I want to tell you, I want to break it down to you guys. I'm a football coach just like these coaches back here. I did this for 18 years. But the difference with me is I had two military sons that saw those 9/11 towers fall. And at the time, they were playing ball for me. They were just your age, right? And I remember my sons coming home and saying, "Dad, we want to go fight." And I remember me saying, "There's no way you're going to go fight," because I know they would see death. I know they would see war. I know they would see pain. But my boys were serious. And years later, I start seeing recruiters come to my house, and next thing you know, my son is becoming a Marine, and my youngest son is becoming an Army soldier. Days after their high school graduation, they both left. It was the hardest part of our life, because we knew that when a loved one serves, the family serves too. And we saw them go. I saw them go through terrible deployments. One in Iraq, where one son was in Ramadi, another one was in Fallujah, and literally, I didn't know if my boys were going to come home at all. Sleepless nights, another deployment, they come home, another deployment, and then the third deployment happens, which absolutely rocks our world. It's 2010, and my Marine son is going to a place in Afghanistan. But we would do is that Mom and I would go down to Camp Pendleton, and we'd buy a keg of beer, we'd get all the Marines together, and we'd throw them a big party, because we knew they were going to get some. But the secret of this party is my son never told me where he was going until that party. I knew he was going to Afghanistan, but I didn't know where. So he comes up to me and he goes, "Dad, let's take a walk." Puts his arm around me. I go, "Son, your friends are all here. What do you?" He goes, "Dad, I need to tell you where we're going." So as we're taking a walk, he tells me, "Dad, we're going to this area in the Helmand province of Afghanistan. It's called Sangin. Do yourself a favor. Don't Google it." What do you think I did, ladies? Immediately get my phone out. "What's Sangin? Oh, let me check it. Dad, wait. The Royal Marines were just there. 200 just were killed. 400 lost their legs. This is where you're going, son?" "Yes, Dad, that's where we're going." Weeks later after that, 2 weeks to be exact, they're landing in the relative safety of their FOB in Afghanistan. And as they're landing, they're hearing this pinging coming off the skin of their helicopter. They were landing in the relative safety of their FOB, and they're getting shot at. He looks out the window, and they're surrounded by white flags. Now, what do we think of when we think of white flags, right? Surrender, right? Not to the Taliban. The Taliban puts sheets on the ground, and in black spray paint, they spray paint, "Death to the Americans, death to the infidels." That's you and I, guys. That's you and I. They landed in the relative safety of their FOB. They're getting acclimated while they're surrounded by the enemy. The first patrol leaves the base. It gets around a mile down the road, and they hear this boom. Oh my God, something happened to that patrol that just left the base. They radio, "Guys, are you okay? Guys, are you okay?" Radio silence, nothing coming back. They mount up, they get on their guns, and they go, "Something happened to that patrol that just left the base." They get out there to where that blow up, to where the big boom happened. They find a Humvee had ran over a roadside bomb. It was so big that it lifted it up into the air, twisted it like a corkscrew, and 4 of their friends immediately died. This is where it gets freaky, guys. I'm at home in Sacramento, California. A neighbor calls me from up the road and says, Coach, your son's a Marine, right? Yes, my son's a Marine. Man, something happened next door. There's a family whose son is a Marine, and something happened. And I don't know, Coach, it's not good. I saw, dressed Marines leaving, and there was a lot of crying. Something happened to their son. What's their phone number? Give me their phone number. I'll call them. I'll see if there's anything I could do. And this is when I call them, and they're on their way to get their son's body at Dover Air Force Base. He had been killed. And I find out at that time that the Marine that was killed was Victor Dew. He played football for me. They go get the body. They bring it back home. And as we're talking around the table and getting to know each other a little better, they look over at me and they say, Coach, will you eulogize our son? It'd be my honor. I'd be honored to eulogize your son. Really, you want me? We want you, Coach. So a few days later, I saw that casket with a flag over it. I saw the hole. I heard the playing of taps. And I saw that body get lowered into the ground. A few days later after that, my son calls me from Afghanistan, which was very rare, but he calls me on the satellite phone, and he's like, Dad, my son, is this you? Are you okay? Are you okay? Dad. My colonel tells me that a coach buried Victor Dew, eulogized Victor Dew. Was that you, Dad? Was that you? Yes, son, I helped eulogize Victor Dew. He goes, Dad, I was there. I cut him out of the vehicle. Changed my life, guys. Changed my life. It was at that time as a football coach, I said, what can I do to give back? What can we do as coaches, as friends, as loved ones that could say, what can we do to give back to these men and women that are bleeding and dying and losing their legs and being lowered into the ground? What can we do? That's when we started The Honorable. I tell you this story not because I like to tell it. It tears me apart every time. But I tell you this story so you know the heart of why we do this event. You know the reason why we do this event. It's by the spirit of your athleticism, by you guys playing a simple game of football. This is your way of giving back. This is your way of saying thank you. To us and to you, it's much more than a football game. So I want to introduce you to one of those Marines that were serving with my sons and served with Victor Dew. Let's give it up for First Sergeant Freddie Torres.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. I'm Freddie Torres. I was born in Tucson, Arizona, 2 hours south from here, born and raised here. 2006, I joined the Marine Corps. And just like Coach talked about, I'll just get straight to 2010, October 13th. I was serving with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, an infantry unit out of Camp Pendleton, California, just north of San Diego. October 13th, we lost 4 Marines in one day. That was that roadside bomb that blew up that Humvee truck in the air, instantly killed 4 Marines. 3 months later, December 30th, 2010, another story on why we do this and why we do the honorable and why you're here. December 30th, 2010, our patrol Marines were out in a new area, talking to the local nationals, gaining atmospherics, gaining intelligence. They were out for about 4 hours. They were making their way back to the patrol base, their safe spot where they lived, where they slept. There was about 25 Marines on that patrol that day. On their way back inside the patrol base, one of the Marines in the back stepped on an IED, a roadside bomb. That IED, that roadside bomb, was 25 pounds big. 25 pounds was made to kill all 25 of those Marines on the patrol that day. Thankfully, when he stepped on it, only about 4 pounds went off. It shattered that Marine's foot, broke his leg. They got him out of there, got him in a truck, got him to the next echelon of care. He's fine today. There's 20 pounds of IEDs sitting out there, a roadside bomb, that the Marines have to go blow in place so the Taliban doesn't pick it back up and use it on them. So the squad leader, the sergeant, the Marine sergeant that day made the decision. He said, let's not take out all 25 Marines again. Let's just take out 4, take a stick of demolition, place it there, pull the string, let the 60 seconds run out, and blow it in place. So they did that. A team of 4 went out. 3 Marines went around the corner to hold security. The sergeant, the squad leader, placed a stick of demolition down. As he's ready to pull the string from the east, about 200 meters out, the Taliban opens up with their machine guns. They start spraying and praying left and right. The sergeant immediately puts his weapon up, his rifle up, and starts running in the direction of the enemy. He shoots, he starts suppressing back. He sees a little divot in a waist-high wall about 20, 30 meters that he was going to get behind. And once he got there, fell on his back, and he looked down, and his uniform was filled in red. Realizing at that time that he had been shot twice, once on each leg. From the corner of his left eye, here comes one of those Marines that were holding security running in his direction to help him out. That Marine gets there, slides in, grabs his medical scissors out, cuts his pants off, blood was gushing out. His femoral artery had been shot on his left leg. So that team leader, that Marine, immediately puts his finger in the wound, puts his palm on it, pulls out gauze, applies it in there, grabs a tourniquet, slaps it on, tightens it up, and controls the bleeding for a little bit. The Marine gets on the radio and he said, my sergeant shot twice. We have to get a stretcher out here so we can get him to the next echelon of care. A couple minutes pass by. The quick reaction force comes out with the stretcher. They put the sergeant on there. And on the count of 3, that team leader, that Marine that applied medical care, says, everyone open up so that we can move our sergeant and get him to safety, get him to the next echelon of care. So on the count of 3, all the weapons open up and they start suppressing the Taliban, who had still been firing at them this whole time. 1, 2, 3. They pick him up and they're carrying the last 100 yards into the truck that was waiting for him inside the patrol base. As he's being carried, that sergeant on the stretcher looks up to his left, picks up his left hand, and another sergeant, his best friend, is carrying him. He holds his hand out and he grabs him and he holds hands with him and he said these last words to him. Tell my mom I love her and tell my boys I'm sorry. Squeezes tighter and he says, tell my mom I love her and tell my boys I'm sorry. They get him into the truck. They get him out of Afghanistan, goes to Germany, lands in California and San Diego. That sergeant made it. He started recovery in January 2011, just a few days short after being injured. The doctors came to him a week later after about 10 surgeries and said, your leg's getting amputated next week. Your medical career is over. You cannot serve in the Marine Corps with as an amputee. So that sergeant said, give it a couple of weeks. Let's fight this one out. Let's get through a little bit of physical therapy and see where it goes. The doctor was hesitant, but he agreed to it. The 2 to 3 physical therapies a week turned into 2 to 3 physical therapies a day. 2 to 3 times a week turned into every single day. Fighting, struggling, facing challenges, roadblocks, setbacks. But that sergeant in January knew that when the battalion got back, April 2011, just a few months later, he wanted to stand there at the bottom of that staircase when that plane landed in Riverside, California. So he went through it, he went through it, he went through it. More challenges, more adversaries, more surgeries, more setbacks, more people telling him that he couldn't, he wouldn't, and he shouldn't. Got off a wheelchair, got off the walker, got off the crutches, started walking, started jogging, started running. And then April 2011, when that plane landed at Riverside Air Force Base, that staircase came down. I stood there at the bottom of that staircase and I hugged every single one of my squad members that saved my life just 3 months prior on December 30th, 2010. The doctors told me my leg was getting amputated. I don't share this story to put myself up here. For the longest time, I couldn't even share this story. It took me just until the last 2-3 years to finally open up about this. We're in 2024, and I didn't open up about this until about 2021, 22. I spent 10 years of my life living in shame, living in guilt, living in all these emotions that I held on to because I gave up on my squad, or so I thought. I felt shame because I made the decision to go out there and blow this explosive in place, and I got injured, and I left my squad out there for 3 months on their own. 2 years ago, God brought me to my knees, and he said, it's time to surrender. It's time to submit. And I stayed obedient to him. And I'm truly blessed and grateful to stand up here and share this story with you today. You're going to see 25 banners out there with the faces and the names and the dates of the Marines, 25 of them that didn't make it back. From October 7th to January 20th, in a 4-month span, my battalion lost 25. That's about how many people are in this room. And here I was thinking that I was potentially going to be on one of these banners. And again, I'll share this story with you not because it puts me up here, but because I face challenges, adversity, roadblocks, setbacks, fallbacks in life. Mentally, I had to dig in and fight through that. So whatever it is you're going through in life, out in the field, at home, school, relationship, family, fill in your blank. You can get through it. And I'm grateful now that 2 years ago when God brought me to my knees, a couple months later, almost a year later, he said it's time to minister. And now I get to minister youth at my youth group at church as a ministry leader. Now I get to minister young adults, and I get to minister in a men's Bible study group. And I'm grateful for that. It's the best thing that's ever happened in my life. So thank you again for what you do. Remember, it's more than just a football game. You get to go out there and play for the Marines that have gone before us, or the ones that have gone and didn't make it back. Good luck the rest of the season. Thank you. God bless every single one of you.
First Sergeant Freddie Torres, I want you to meet somebody real quick, and then I got some real quick hospitality stuff to go over. This is my dear friend. I told you the story of her son. Her name is Patty Schumacher. She's a founder of the Honor Group, and her son was Victor Dill. So let's give it up for Patty Schumacher. Coach. All right, so let's have some fun here, Coach. We have some gifts for your girls. There's enough in here for them. They're bands that commemorate their playing in the Honor Bowl. Please make sure each one of the girls get one of these. You got it. All right? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to announce your girls, I think, through the lion, right? So I think the lion's going to be blown up, and they're going to be running through the mountain lion. One of your girls is going to be able to carry the flag. Who's going to be the one that's going to have the opportunity to carry the flag?
Sophia Marquez.
Sophia. Which one's Sophia? Right here? All right, dear. All right, Sophia. So when you come up to that flag and it's time for you to be, or to that mountain lion, I'm going to hand you the flag. Your team's going to follow you. You're going to hear the music start. Have fun with that flag. Whoop it up, and we'll announce you onto the field, okay? Big honor. Big honor.
Hey, let's give him 2 claps when I call it out. 2 claps. 2 claps. 2 claps. Hey, thank you guys.
Oh, hold on, I'm not done. At the end of the game, your coach is going to give us the name of one of you athletes that's going to win the character award. That's the athlete that plays this game today with the most spirit, the most enthusiasm, the most character, okay? He's going to tell us that. The media in attendance, and there's a lot of them here, is going to vote that one of you are going to be the MVP. So when we're kneeing up on the center of the field afterwards, when you guys do the handshake, I'll have you all sit down. One of you will get the character award. One of you will get the MVP. And then we will hand this coach the 2024 Arizona Honor Bowl Championship Trophy, right? All right, stand up, stand up, stand up. Get in here, arms up, arms up. Okay, the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, they have a saying, and it's get some. So when I say 3-5, you yell get some, all right? 3-5! 3-5! 3-5! Get some! Go get some!